This is my 66 plate Focus ST diesel. It's actually a 2017 car. It was just, I didn't get it received till January. I wanted to do a video on the car itself from someone who actually uses the car and doesn't spend weekends polishing it all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. I have spent a lot of time polishing it, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm not biased. I'd like to think that I can say this is good and that's bad because I'm not so deeply in love with it to give you a really good review, hopefully. I called it use and abuse because the car has been used and abused, as you can see here. See here? There's a piece missing. That's the toe and eye cover. Well, that went when I hit a deer. What also went when I hit that deer was the front grille cracked in half. The lower grille was gone. The flaps underneath had to be replaced. So that's something that can happen to anyone, and quoted by Ford to get that done was 1,500 quid. I done it myself. I just changed the fins in the front, which cost me 300 quid. The other things, this poor car's been in the wars. I got a little curb on this wheel here somewhere. It's very minor. That wheel was actually on my front left and my girlfriend couldn't reach the pay arch in France. She said, "Oh, just pull in a little bit closer." Yeah, bang, touched the wheel. The back bumper as well. I had someone reverse into it in Amsterdam. Didn't leave a card or nothing, and just... So yeah, I took that off myself. Really easy actually, only 6 bolts. I think the car's real good looking, I love the colour. I do get a lot of people saying that's a really nice car. You know, so, you know, I don't think it's the best looking car on the road, but it's definitely a very sexy looking thing. I've had it now for 18 months. Still enjoying the car. But sometimes once you've had something over a year, the honeymoon period dies off and you're a bit more, not say picky, but you're less unforgiving when you first get the car. You might say, oh yeah, well, I'm not too worried about that bit because this bit in that bit in this bit. So I thought, I've used and abused mine, so I thought I would tell you the good times and the bad times that I've had with it. I'll start with the bad times because I think let's get the bad out of the way. The first thing was when I had the car about 9 months, I noticed it was getting notchy going in the fourth. So I thought it was me. I thought maybe was I not putting the clutch in, was I not putting the gear in the right, you know, getting the gear stick in the right selected place. I'm not too sure. But anyway, it was getting progressively worse to the point that I couldn't actually select 4th gear. When I rang Ford about this, I rang the dealership, which was in Cardiff. I bought the car from Cardiff, but I live in Somerset. Just because my girlfriend lived there, and at the time there wasn't a lot of Focus ST diesels about, and the one in Cardiff was the nearest garage to me that had one on the forecourt that I could try, because you know, when you're spending, I paid 23,700 for this new, and when you're paying that amount of money, you want to try it. You don't want to just take a blind gamble and then you get it and you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? If I try and sell it straight away, I'm going to lose thousands. So you got to like it and lump it. So that was the reason. I rang them up and they were really apologetic, but they were basically like, oh yeah, we can't get you into our garage. So I'm like, are you having a laugh? Just bought this car and you can't get it in. So I rang all the local garages in Somerset, Yeovil, Taunton, Ilminster, and they all said no, not for 2 weeks. I think the problem was it was around September and the garages are obviously full a lot doing the PDIs because a lot of people obviously buy it on the new plate. So like, I'm pretty laid back, but once you've been rejected, and I was so pleased with my car and this had gone wrong, and like it really upset me, and I didn't want that bit of like, you know, when you've bought something you get those people that are a little bit like, oh, I don't like that, you should have got a Golf or whatever, those sort of people. I didn't really want to have to admit to them people that my car had broken. So I was quite annoyed. So I said, don't worry about it. I tell you what, if it breaks down, you come pick it up. And guess what? It never did break down. And I'd actually done quite a few miles. So I'd actually already just had the service when it happened. The first service, 12,500 miles. So anyway, I'd driven all around Europe. That was the main reason I took the car down to basically into Holland, through Germany into Italy, ran the south of France and back up, hence why the mileage crept up very fast. I think it was like 5,000 miles in 2 weeks. So anyway, the car goes into Ford eventually on the second service. They do the service for me. I already told them about the problem. The guy who I was dealing with, he was just an absolute idiot. I think he must have read books on cars and never worked on one in his life. And he was well, to be fair, I don't think he even read the book. He was trying to tell me that if it was the clutch, I'd have to pay for it. I was saying, well, there's no way it could be the clutch if it's just one gear. You know, if all the gears are gone, fair enough. But I thought, I don't really, you know, I feel like I'm a decent driver, and I don't think I've never, ever, of all the cars I've had, I've never done a clutch. Anyway, it turns out it was a bush that goes on the synchro, and what happened, the bush had worn, so the synchro had dropped, so then it wouldn't mesh with the gear properly. And then where they would look at it and I kept driving it, I just wore the synchro so bad that it just physically wouldn't go in anymore. And when they took it apart, they told me third had gone as well, but it wasn't bad enough. They put a new bush on third, but they wouldn't put a new synchro on it because they have to send the pictures off to Ford. And Ford were like, oh no, that's passable. But now they've said that, and I've got fourth back, I do notice it. And when they put the linkage back together, it's not very nice at all. Like it's very easy to get into the top gears, like first, third and sixth, but the ones down, it doesn't feel like it quite wants to go in there. And if you're trying to drive a bit speedy and you want that quick gear change, or like, you know, when you want to overtake someone and you're in second and you've gone the third and you're concentrating on the road, you don't want to be looking where your hand is being placed and make sure you get the gear, because it naturally should just go in. When I got the car back, I drove it 100 metres out of the dealership and I was like, something ain't right here. Felt like the clutch was slipping. So anyway, I got the mechanic. No chance. So like, we go out in it and he's like, oh, that's wheel spin. I said, it's not wheel spin. So anyway, puts the handbrake on, lets the clutch up, there it goes, slipping. So it goes back in, and then I'm confronted with this guy who works there, who is like the guy who I said to you, who tried to read a book on how to fix cars, who's the manager. He said to me, oh, it's going to be the clutch and you're going to have to pay for it. I said, well, the clutch was fine. No, well, it obviously wasn't, Mr. Brereton, and all this rubbish. And I was like, whatever. So I walked out of there and I rang the manager of all the Ford garages in the southwest of, well, not the southwest, but the 4A Motor Group. And with persistence, I just kept ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, and I got through to him. I told him about the bad experience that I'd had, and he basically said to me that don't worry, there was oil all underneath the car when I left as well, so I knew that it was the clutch had been contaminated. So he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and give him his due. Within 15 minutes of me getting off the phone, there was someone here picking it up, so there must have been a recovery company rang, must have been nearby. And I got the car back on the Friday, and basically what had happened, when they put the gearbox back together, because I was surprised, I thought they would have just put a new gearbox in it. They didn't. It pushed the seal out the front of the gearbox, which blew the oil all over the clutch, therefore started to make it slip. So Ford had to put, as well as 2 new synchros in it, a new clutch and a Masters in it. But I don't really mind, because things go wrong with cars. That's why kind of a little reason you buy a new car, because you've got that security net, you know, that if anything does wrong, you don't got to worry about it. But I was really stressed out at that time, because they were telling me, oh yeah, you might have to pay for clutch, you might have to pay for gearbox, and we all know what dealerships charge per hour. And it was just the way they went about it wasn't very good. And I got to be honest with you, I won't be buying, and I don't want to say never, but I don't think I would want to buy a brand new Ford. You know, we were looking at the new ST from my girlfriend, Fiesta, and after that experience I just thought, that's not, I don't think I want to go through that again. But maybe if you were in a different area, you'd had a different experience and you wouldn't feel like that. So I wouldn't say don't buy one. But anyway, that's enough of the moaning out of the way. Let's talk about the good things. Good things, it's brilliant, the fact that you can drive this car. I've just driven on the bumpiest road in the world, as you can tell, and it loves it. You know, I better not put my foot down there too much. It's an RSPB reserve. Our bird watchers throwing their binoculars at me. But alright, let's just get out of the way of the car park. But here you go. I'm on there's a big bumpy road, and I'm doing sort of 50-60. No banging on the suspension. The banging in the back is probably the umbrella that's loose. But and that's what I like about this car. It's a fast car that you can actually put your foot down over the bumps, you know, and it ain't gonna beat the hell out of you. I've heard people reviewing it saying it's you know, it's a bit of a firm ride. I'm like, you don't buy an ST and go, oh, I'll tell you what, ride's a bit firm. It's kind of part of it, but it's not solid. You know, it's not like your mate who's dropped his car 100 mil and then every pothole he's buckled a wheel. It's nothing like that. And to be fair, the seats have got a real nice curvature on them, and the seats kind of hold you in place anyway, so you don't really feel it. And they're quite, you know, they're quite forgiving, the seats themselves. So I wouldn't, you know, those reviews I've seen about the seats being, you know, the ride being a little bit hard, or don't listen to them. If you're going to buy a performance car, you want performance suspension. Performance suspension comes with that. If not, go buy your run-of-the-mill Focus. Sorry, it's a bit tight down these lanes in Somerset. You see, you got to keep pulling in for everyone and make sure you don't scratch the side of your car and cyclists who are suicidal coming at you. But so in terms of performance, now I'm not going to lie to you, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but what it's very good at is masking that. The torque that it's got, it gives you a sense that the 0 to 60 in 8 seconds feels a hell of a lot quicker. And I've got to be honest with you, I've raced some cars where I really did think I'd win. Like Renault Megane 225, like in a straight line, yes, but coming out of the bends, if I've got it in the right gear and I got that torque, boom, I'm out the corner and I'm away from him. But when it got up to like say 100 or something like that, then that petrol's going to chase you down. But as long as you've got your gears right, and that's another thing, if you are going from like a lot of performance cars to getting an ST, because let's face it, the only reason you would buy the ST diesel was because you want something that's a little bit nippy, and you also want economy. It ain't as fun to drive. There's no high revving, like accidentally hit the limiter, none of that. Because the car goes so flat after 4,500 that it's pointless being in there. And I got to admit, I spent a lot of time working out the best place to change gear, so I didn't drop out of the lag and I was bang on the torque with every gear change. And once you got that right, it's good. It can also make you a bit lazy, because I quite often find myself driving in 4th gear everywhere just because of the torque. In fact, I'm doing 5th now up a hill doing 30 miles an hour. That's how much torque it has got. Probably more the fact that I'm thinking about talking to you a little bit more than my gear selection. So in terms of economy, I live in Somerset, so my economy figures are never going to be as good as someone who lives maybe around London with a lot of dual carriageways around the outside, where you can be sitting at 50, 60 if you're not sitting, because you're either doing one or the other. I always find when I go to London, you're either sat there or you're moving at sort of 50, 60. You're probably going to return mid-40s. Like, I'd done a trip once and I went from where was it, to Portsmouth up to Avonmouth, and I was following a truck, and it was my friend and I was going to pick him up, and I managed to get 68 miles to the gallon, which I was really impressed at. But what you got to remember is, how often am I, you know, are you going to be doing that? But I do drive a little bit pedal to the metal. I can't help it. Like, even when I think there's no way that I could drive a whole fuel tank of around 400 miles for me and guarantee that I wouldn't put my foot down somewhere pointing at 400 miles. But you know, people do. Like, in being in the forum, I've seen people getting like 45 miles to the gallon and more. Yeah, like, I think one guy, like, his missus got something like tanks to my one. I'm getting, with a lot of heavy foot action, around between 36 to 38. And I'm being honest, I live in Somerset. It's very stop-start lanes, you know what I mean? And look at me now, I'm doing 30 here around this lane, and then I'll come around the corner and there's a straight and I'll be doing 60. That's what it's like. Also, I don't like driving the car when it feels like it's like when you're not ready to go. You know, when you got the car in 6 and you're like sort of sat next to someone and you're like, and you can hear the car almost feel like it's trying to stall, and people drive like that, and I don't know, that's not me. I always like to have the car in a gear that I can feel that when I press the pedal it's going to do something. Again, that's not every person's going to drive like that, so you're going to get more miles to the gallon. But I kind of like the fact, because I've had some thirsty cars before. I've had like BMW 325i E90. I've had Marcha Golf with a VR6 in, and I remember days when I've driven like from Glastonbury down to Weymouth like an absolute hero, and it's cost me 50-60 quid, which is about a 100-mile round trip. This I could drive down in an absolute hero, probably cost me 20 quid, and that would be really nailing it. So that is a good thing about the car. You know, I'm not constantly filling my car up with fuel in the Shell garage or wherever. I try to avoid supermarkets, but that's a different video for a different day. The handling of the car, it does handle well. I'm not gonna lie, I have been caught out a couple times. A few times where I've had to nick a little bit of the other side of the road, and luckily nothing was coming. I gotta be honest with you, I've actually had this car facing the hedgerow and thinking, right, this is not gonna end well, and somehow with a load of opposite lot I got it back. I've never had the car understeer, and that's weird, because car manufacturers like to set their cars up to understeer because the general public are being told that it's easier to handle than oversteer. I agree with that, because the biggest problem, a normal person, as soon as the back of the car goes, the first thing they do is let off the throttle, foot on the brake. That isn't going to help you. Generally, it's the letting off the throttle that's put you in that position, so you need to bang back on the throttle. And I used to race like a front wheel drive car that was about sort of 600-700 kilos, so you train to it the first few times. And even in my F2 stock car I race now, when the back comes round, you've like just got to stamp on the throttle to get that grip and drive to come out. So, but I have been pushing the car a lot when that's happened. But you know, there's times when I've switched the traction control off and it comes up sport mode. Trust me, that is not sport mode, that is sign your own death certificate mode. Because if it's a little bit wet, or you come in the water a little bit hard, it just wants to chuck you out. And I'm being honest, like, if you really like your car and you don't want to claim on your insurance, don't press it. Like, if you want to go on a track day or something like that and you know there's a bit of runoff, then all means go for it. But personally, I wouldn't be doing that myself. You know, I've done it, and the time that I really badly lost it, I actually had the traction control on. So I'm not going to give it like 5 stars, you know what I mean? It's not something you can really. I got the 19-inch wheels. I don't know if the 18s would help. The entire compound. I had the Michelin Pilot Sports on at the time. I've gone with Falcon tyres actually this time, and they're a hell of a lot grippier, but I've realised why. They haven't lasted half as long. I've done half the mileage and I'm almost due a new set. But sometimes you're better off to have a grippier set of tyres and still have a car at the end of it. You know, I do say to people, like, they want to save a 10 or a 20 quid per tyre, but that tyre can stop the car an extra 20 foot, which might be, well, maybe not 20, but 5 foot. How many times have you almost stopped and then you've come and you go, cool, that was close, and you've stopped a foot away? You know, if you had a worse tyre on, then that maybe actually gone the wrong way for you. So I know this review's about the Focus, but something to bear in mind as well. So I guess the thing you probably all want to know is, you know, after watching the video and hearing my views, is would I buy it again? Yeah, I would. I don't think you can get a better car for the value of the money. You know, if you wanted a Golf, for example, the new price for spec, you know, you'd be looking at a GTD. You're talking the best part of 10 grand more. I don't think you can justify that too much unless really money isn't an object to you, or you're a massive Volkswagen fan and you just love the Golfs. I got to admit, they do look nice, but I'm happier having that extra money in my bank. So yeah, I think for value for money, it's a great car. You know, it had its ups and downs. It had the gearbox problem. You can have a car built on a Friday afternoon sometimes. You know, I know people who bought BMWs and they've had nothing but problems, and other people who, you know, bought exactly the same car and had not one problem. In the forum, I mentioned my gearbox problem. No one else has had it. Ford told me that no one else had had it, but they didn't tell me that I had to wait in a queue of 6 gearboxes to be done first. So I find that hard to believe. But it's a great car. It does what it says on the tin. You know, it's nippy. It's not fast in the world, but it's nippy. It's economical. It's good value for money. So, and I think if you need something with 4 doors on and you still want to be a bit of a cool guy with 4 doors, no matter if you're young or old, I can't really see a better option on the market. Like I said, unless money isn't an object, and then you might argue the Golf or an Audi A3, but I really don't think the extra money is warranted. I think you're purely paying for the badge. You know, the Ford is made in Augsburg now. They share all German technologies. The interior in this car isn't plasticky at all. It's really solid. Sound system's great. Admittedly, I've got the upgraded package with the sub, which if you're looking for one second hand, then try and find that, because it really is good. It reminds you back to when I was younger and used to install systems in a car, and this goes a long way against that. It's not going to be the loudest, or it's not going to shake it to pieces, but you know, you don't really want that anyway. That's something you love when you're younger. But even if you are younger, it's still a good system. So yeah, well, thanks for watching, and you know, hopefully you agree with what I've said if you've already got one, or maybe you don't. Comment below and sort of let me know, and sure your comments also be useful to other people watching this if they are considering to buy one, because I know that all I got to see was videos from like Autocar and people like that, and they're only just